How the hell are you, Drew?
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. My body is still a little screwed up. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's too hot here. It's too hot, but
Yeah, it has been a little warm, huh?
just a little bit, just a little bit. Mm.
All right. I don't want this to be like a super heavy Drew focused episode.
I don't think you're gonna get away from that.
I don't think I'm going to get away from that. Okay, so to sort of set the stage here, so probably going to be a lot of Drew tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just got back from vacation. It was a really good vacation. I'm not going to bury the lead. It was a really good vacation, and I'll talk
Good.
all about it, the things that we did, where we stayed, and then our basically our side quest to get home. Uh,
Okay.
so we'll
Okay.
we'll talk about all that. But I want to sort of open it up a little bit first because I see what you have linked here.
Uh-huh.
So I thought maybe we could just open with a little appetizer
Okay.
about your new phone case.
Yeah, I bought a new phone case.
Okay.
This one came at the I heard about it from John Syracuse, famous internet celebrity.
Mhm.
He had just about so up until this point I have been rocking the quote unquote official Beats podcast, Jesus, Beats case for my iPhone 16 Pro.
Yep.
And there are two features of that case that I liked a lot. Those were the camera control button. So instead of having a cutout for the camera control button, it has a piece of like sapphire glass, so you can, it's that way it lays flush with the case, and you don't have to jam your finger into a hole. And it had an open bottom, which means that when I swipe up from the bottom, I don't have to feel a case. It's a gesture you do a lot on a phone. So I have learned that I like an open bottom. I'm sure there's a title there somewhere.
Yep. I'm already on it.
Okay. But the material of those Beats case, they are very hard and they are very slippery.
Okay.
And it always made me pine again for Apple's leather cases, which I used to use almost exclusively for a long time. But they don't have an open. The bottom is the case goes all the way around the phone, so I didn't want to do that. Well, thank you, company Bullstrap, because they came out with a new style of case that they call the minimalist. It is a genuine leather case. It has a open bottom, open bottom, and a camera control button. And I ordered one. I ordered one, got it in the mail, and I've been rocking it for, I don't know, maybe about a week and a half now. And it is almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
Okay.
There is one, I'm not sure it's a critical issue, and I'm not even sure why this happens. So obviously I have a car. I use it to drive places. That car has two features: CarPlay, and it has it's wireless CarPlay, and it has a Qi charger. So I typically just throw my phone on the Qi charger and use wireless CarPlay. It's great. For some reason, that particular Qi charger, it has now become more fiddly. I can't just toss my phone onto that thing and expect good results. I have to very carefully place it, set it just right, observe that the charging light is on and it is actually charging. And if it ever slips or for anything, I have to kind of like slide it back. It's annoying is what it is. I mean, first world problems, right? But
here's my hot take.
Mm-hmm.
I think Qi charging is fucking stupid.
That's all I do anymore. I hardly ever use cables. Oh, sorry.
For my experience with it has been, it charges very slowly, and I have experienced the finickiness that you're describing with other cases before. Like, you really got to find the Qi spot to like get it to really start to charge.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. It's always been finicky, and my phones get exceptionally hot when you charge them. Like when
Mine
you charge
can if it
them.
goes for a long time. Yeah, yeah.
But I but
It's a
I
little
but I
toasty.
feel like it has to go for a long time.
Oh, because it charges slow. See.
Yeah,
Mm,
it
mhm.
charges so goddamn slow. And I and to be fair, there are 3 locations in my life where I can use Qi charging. The first one is on my work desk. I have an Anchor. It's a 3-in-1 thing. We've talked about it before. It has
Mhm,
a MagSafe Qi charger for a phone. It has
mhm.
a little slot for AirPods, and it has a raised thing to charge a watch. I When my work phone is low, I will throw it on there because I can let it sit there for 4 or 5 hours and not have to worry about it. The other 2 places that I do this is my car and my truck. And both of those things just don't charge it very well. So when I'm in my car and I have to charge my phone, I reach into my center console and I unspool the
Like an
appropriate,
animal.
yeah, and I plug it in. Listen, it
Yeah,
charges it. It charges it
I
much faster.
I
It doesn't let my
know,
phone overheat.
I know, but I don't want to. I just want to use the Qi charger, and it's harder now. And it's not like I'm like desperate. Like, yes, if my phone was exceedingly low and I wanted to get it charged the fastest, I do have a cable in my car for those types of emergencies, or for guests, right? Because sometimes you have
Yeah.
someone in the car is like, "Hey, my phone's low. You got a charger?" Yes, I do. Uh, I think I still have a lightning cable in there just in case. But so am I going to stop using the case because of this? No, no, I am not. The otherwise the case is beautiful. I got it's called Slate, I believe
Okay.
is it's the
Hmm.
gray case. That's what I'm rocking. I like it a lot. It's real nice. If you're looking for now, it's not the cheapest case in the world, right?
I was gonna say it's $100. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
bought more expensive cases before.
Yeah, it's $85 right now because of July 4th, but probably not by the time you hear this, dear listener. Uh, and I don't. I even then, I think I got it on sale. So, yeah, it's good. I would recommend it. It's a genuine leather case with the camera control button and the bottom cutout. And if you're thinking that sounds pretty good, bam, there you go. Buy it. Just do it.
Okay,
Buy it.
real-time follow-up. Do you know that Bullstrap sells a MagSafe charging cable?
They sell a MagSafe charging cable. What does that mean? Like a puck?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I don't want to put that in my car.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's a MagSafe case, right? So it works with MagSafe chargers and stuff. It works great with
Yeah.
that. That's what I primarily have MagSafe chargers in my house. It's just I wish
Okay.
that my phone was all my phone. God damn it, my car also had MagSafe, but it
Right.
doesn't.
It
So
just
yeah.
has good old-fashioned Qi charging.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got Slate. I'm looking at some of the other colors here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I mean,
Maverick doesn't look bad.
which one is Maverick?
Terra and Sienna and Bourbon. Black, I don't like. Dune is interesting. That's more of a traditional leather.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Maverick at all. I think it's kind of I don't know. It looks kind of like if you saw that color in nature, you would think something is sick. Uh
Yeah.
I don't I kind of like the uh I mean it's not for me, but the sienna, that very, very bright, almost orangey leather. It's I
No.
can't pull that off, but I do
No.
like it. So I also like the ocean, the blue. That's not bad.
I don't like
But
how it in all the pictures it looks marbled.
well, it's leather, so yeah, it's probably picking up the natural. I think they're all kind of marbled, and like even mine's kind of marbled in a way if you look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I've
Yeah.
owned leather cases before and they get the patina and that's kind of
Hmm.
cool.
Yep.
Yes, I mean, this looks like a really nice case.
It's nice. It's nice. I like it.
It doesn't seem unreasonably expensive. Because like the Apple leather cases are what? What are they going for now?
I have no idea.
And I don't think they're as nice as this. Now, did you get the nav safe wallet?
No, no, no. I'm not a no, no.
You're not a
Uh,
what? You're not a
I'm
what?
you know what I'm not a monster.
Okay.
I have a wallet like a gentleman that goes in my pocket. Oh,
Hmm.
hold on. I'm at Apple's website now. I'm going to cases and protection. Uh, there we go. Okay. Leather. They might even sell a leather case anymore.
I thought they still did.
Oh no, they weren't. They got rid of it all. It's all that. Yes, but remember it got replaced by the fine woven cases,
Oh, right.
but now they discontinued those too. No, you can't even get a leather Apple case anymore.
Bummer.
They're not there. So yeah, so there you go. You have to go. But I remember them being around that price anyway. They were pretty expensive. Probably knowing Apple is probably more expensive than I remember.
Leather nav safe wallet. Location tracking. Wait, what does this do?
I don't know. It's just a case. There's
It
nothing. There's
works.
nothing.
Oh, wait a minute. So this is no. I'm looking at the nav safe wallet. It
The wall.
it
All
looks like it has a find my thing with it. So it's like an air
no,
tag that isn't
yes,
an air tag.
yeah, it's got an air tag. It's basically got Find My built into it. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Huh, look at that.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued. I might need to get that.
Mm,
I might
hmm.
need to get that.
There you go.
Well, cool. So you've
Yeah,
been rocking it for how long now? You said it, but I already forgot.
about a week and a half, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's good.
Cool.
I like it.
Yeah. That looks like a really nice case. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
jealous. I'm still rocking my, wannabe military case thing.
You get your tactical,
Tactical
tactical
phone
case.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, to each their own.
To each their own is correct. All right. So do you want to hear about our trip?
I do. I
Okay.
mean, I think there are some listeners who really want to know how the tech went. Uh,
Okay.
I want to hear about the trains you rode.
Okay. So recording this, let's see. We got back technically yesterday, which I'll talk about that later. So we were gone for about 8.5 days. So this is a trip that we've been planning for years. Now, we were originally going to go right before COVID popped off. We were sort of in the middle of planning our trip. Then COVID happened. And then we were like, okay, we're gonna move.
Yeah, you
So
did
we
that.
kind of we kind of took our savings and everything and turned that into selling our old house and then buying the new house, and then that set everything back. And then little Rocky got old and couldn't see
Yeah.
so good and had some health problems, so we're like, we really didn't want to leave him. So we, for all intent and purposes, my wife and I have been taking separate vacations for a while now. We very rarely have she and I gone on vacation together. So we were finally in a position where this year, with Rocky passing away almost a year ago now, we were in a place where it's like, okay, we're going to do this trip. And the place that my wife has always really wanted to go is Spain. Now, I've been to Europe now. This would have been my fourth time in Europe, I think, technically. So I've been there before. I've never been to Spain. Her big thing was she wanted to go to Spain because she minored in Spanish. She's always wanted to go visit Barcelona and Madrid and some of the other places there. And she really, really wanted to have authentic Spanish cuisine.
Okay. Yeah.
So our trip was basically this. We were going to fly from the United States to Barcelona. We were going to spend 2 full days in Barcelona. And then we were going to go to Paris via train. And we were going to spend 2 full days in Paris. And then we were going to take another train to London and spend 2 full days in London. Now, because of the way the travel works, you lose a day going over. So we flew basically overnight from Atlanta to Barcelona. And then when we got there, it was sort of in the morning. By the time we got through immigration and got to our hotel, we checked in, we got a shower. even though neither of us really slept that much on the plane, which I'll talk about that in detail. Because Paul, I was a problem.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I was a problem.
Uh-oh.
We'll talk about it.
I know you're not the best flyer, but I was wondering, like, since you had more practice of traveling recently, if you were better, but no.
No. Nope.
Okay.
And then so we did a little bit of light sightseeing that day, and then later in the day I was like wiped out, like, babe, I gotta lay down. And I basically slept for a while. And then we had a full day there to go do some sightseeing and things. And then the next day we were going to get on a train and go to Paris. Anyway, okay, so let's kind of start at the beginning. So our first day of travel was flying from Columbus to Atlanta, and then with a brief layover in Atlanta to Barcelona. So there were a couple points in this trip, not during the trip, but leading up to the trip. I was like, okay, here's going to be like the most stressful part, because one thing that is greatly different and I wasn't fully prepared for up until like a couple weeks before we left is post COVID, you really can't show up at tourist stuff and get in anymore. You really have to buy stuff in advance.
Okay.
So for us, like a couple, like, we had booked our flights and we had booked our hotels months ago. But as we got closer to this trip within the last 3 or 4 weeks, then it became, okay, we need to get tickets to do the things that we want to do. So in Spain, the two big things that we wanted to see while we were in Barcelona was La Sagrada Familia and Park Güell. I don't know how to say the name of it. I've said it like 18 different ways. So Sagrada Familia is I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically a church. Let me pull up the website real quick. It was made by Antonio Gaudi, and he's like a famous architect and designer. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw all the pictures. It is a very, very Gothic looking cathedral in the middle of Barcelona. And on the surface, it doesn't look like, other than, it looks like a church. You go in and you take pictures, but it has beautiful stained glass, beautiful acoustics for like the organ, the architecture both outside and inside with the different carvings and everything. It's really quite breathtaking. And then there are multiple towers at Sagrada Familia that when you buy your ticket, you can also buy admission to one of the towers, and they take you up in an elevator, and then you have to walk down a very, very narrow staircase to get to the bottom. So that was something we wanted to do. And then the other one was this thing called Park Güell. Let me pull up the website for that real quick. And again, this is a park that was designed by the same guy that designed like Sagrada Familia. He's huge in Barcelona, this guy. And it is this huge park on the north side of the city where there are several houses and plazas and sculptures and just a really nice place to explore. You could climb all the way to the top of the hill that it's on, and there's like some crosses and things that are up there. So it's combination sightseeing and a little bit of hiking, if I'm honest. So again, before we even set out, we were getting tickets to these things. And not to mention, like, okay, let's like the thing that was playing out in my head is, it's the summertime. There could be a delay in Atlanta, which would fuck up us getting to Barcelona on time, which would then threaten the tickets that we bought for these attractions. Because when you buy the tickets, you basically are buying an admission time. So for example, if you go on the website and you buy tickets for either of those things, you need to pick a day and a time that you want to show up. Now, once you go in, you could, like, if your time to show up is at 11, as long as you show up within a certain amount of time before or after 11, There's like a little bit of a window, and it's very unclear to me uh, what happens if you're outside of that window. But I didn't want to find out. So like you have to like book your time to go to these things. So the whole time we're like flying from Columbus to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Barcelona, it was like, please, please, please just don't let these flights get fucked up. And they didn't, thank God. So like that was like stressful thing number one. Now, our flights were on Delta. I'm a big Delta boy. I love Delta. And we splurged for what they call Delta One tickets. Now, Delta One is a class of fare on the airplane where you get the seats to go all the way down. I don't know
so
if
you
you've
can
ever
see.
seen those.
I have not experienced them. I have seen them, but yes, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I splurged for that. Now, you could essentially call this first class, right? And that's what it is. And depending on the type of aircraft you're on, you basically what it is a little cubicle. And when you get on the plane, first of all, you're like the first people on the plane, and you're at the very, very front of the plane. And the regular passengers in steerage aren't allowed to put their bags in your overheads. So
Oh yeah.
you basically get your own overheads too. And
Okay.
on these flights, when you show up to sit down in these seats, it's really interesting. And again, I've flown Delta One before, but what they essentially give you is when you get to your seat, there's a little amenity kit sitting there. And in the
Ooh.
amenity kit, they give you slippers, they give you like a toothbrush and toothpaste and like makeup remover if you're a person that wears makeup. And there's like lotion and, other stuff in there that basically means that like, hey, if you want to freshen up or you want to kick your shoes off and you need to go to the bathroom and you don't want to walk in there in your socks, here's some slippers.
Hmm.
And then the other thing that's at your seat is basically like this zippered up bag. And in the bag is a blanket and a pillow.
Nice.
And then there's also a comforter that once you get in the air, you can basically unroll this thing and it kind of goes over your seat and adds even more padding to your seat if you really want to make it a bed. It's extremely comfortable. Even like I didn't sleep. I'll just jump right to that. I didn't sleep because the flight over there was quite turbulent.
Okay.
Now, okay, I was a problem. I was straight up not having a good time, and I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot because they will keep bringing you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you get a curated menu, you get snacks, anything you want. It's yours. They will bring it to you. And prior to us getting on the plane, we went to the lounge because you get lounge access with this ticket. And I had a little something there to take the edge off before we got on the plane. And my hope is that if I had a good enough buzz, I'd be able to relax enough where I fell asleep. That didn't happen.
Okay. Good plan, though. Good plan.
Good plan, right? Now, the first part of the flight was smooth. I watched everybody else make their little beds. People were falling asleep. I wasn't able to sleep. And then the other thing that they give you in the seats is they give you noise canceling headphones.
Ooh, fancy.
Now, I didn't take my AirPods Max on this trip because unlike the other parts of the plane where there's like if you've ever flown on a plane that has like entertainment built into the seat in front of you, there's usually a headphone jack.
Mm-hmm.
So you could and I have the adapter that goes from like stereo to lightning or whatever. And that's usually what I do. But in these seats, the adapter is like proprietary for the headphones that they give you. So I didn't bother packing those, which is okay. It was fine. So, I watched a couple movies. They brought us our dinner. I had a couple other drinks, and then it started to get like kind of bumpy. And I must have like really been like me and like was holding on to my seat extra tight because one of the flight attendants noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not okay." Like I legitimately was not okay because it was like moderate turbulence. So we're bouncing around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like the flight attendants were sort of talking amongst themselves too, because on these flights where they have to do a lot of service, they can't do it if it's turbulent. Like they can't be like
Right.
throwing food and coffee and drinks in front of you because
Mm-hmm.
they have to stay safe too. And I've been
Yeah.
on domestic flights where it's like, hey, we're going to suspend service. It's going to be turbulent, and I totally get that. But there were a couple times on this flight, and again, this is like one of those things where if you're a nervous flyer like me and you read about this stuff, one of the like coping mechanisms they talk about is watch the flight attendants. If they're doing stuff, you're probably going to be okay.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
problem was, and what really triggered me, is we started bouncing around while they were doing stuff, and they were like, "How come they're not telling us that it's turbulent?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why are they not telling us that it's
Yeah.
turbulent, guys?" So like that's making me nervous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm like, everybody else in this part of the plane has their beds completely laid down and they're asleep, but not Drew. Drew is completely upright. He's got his tray out and he's like holding onto his tray.
You're ready
Right?
for danger. Yeah.
I'm ready for danger. Right? Got my slippers on, but I'm ready for danger. Right? So
Oh.
one of the flight attendants comes over and she goes, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not okay." And I basically told her, I'm like, "Look, I'm a nervous flyer. I don't like turbulence." She goes, "Do you want anything else?" And I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm already kind of drunk." Right? So she goes, "Okay." She's like, "Listen, just breathe. You're gonna be okay. I'm gonna check with the captain because we weren't expecting this either. So we're gonna back off on serving stuff, and we need to get seated and everything. But I'll check back with you later." So like we're bouncing around. Things started to come down a little bit. And one of the flight attendants came over to me and she's like, and listen, they were sweet as hell, right? I didn't want to be a problem, but I was a problem. And she comes over and she goes, "Hey, how you doing? Do you need anything? Are you breathing? Are you good?" I'm like, "Well, I'm glad it's calmed down a little bit." But I was like, "Is it done?" And she goes, "Well, I talked to the captain. He said that like, we're going to be okay for about an hour and then it's probably going to pick back up a little bit." And I'm like, "Okay." And weirdly, that calmed me down because what I really don't like is not knowing. I know there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it's unexpected. But the fact that like the crew in the cabin with us was able to like be in contact with them and know what was happening and being able to communicate that to me helped a lot. So like huge shout out to the cabin crew on that flight that helped me and checked in on me and made it okay. And then like the last hour was really really rough. Like it was, and I'm sure that listen, you're talking to the guy that hates flying. I'm sure it wasn't that bad, but it was bad to me. So I was glad to finally get on the ground. So we land on time, everything's cool. We get off the plane and it was kind of a shit show for immigration to get into Spain. There was just a lot of people and not a lot of lanes open. I don't know if you've ever gone through any sort of immigration control before.
No, I have not. No.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's like, walk up to the booth, they look at your passport, they scan it, they kind of like leaf through it. They might ask you a question about like how long you stay in, where you stay in. I've gone through immigration where they like look at your passport, they scan it, stamp it, and leave, and like some where they ask you a bunch of questions. Well, once we finally got up to the place where we did the thing, we were fine. And then our driver picked us up. We had a driver from the hotel pick us up and took us to the airport. Now, again, we splurged a little bit on this trip, and I got to give a shout out to all of the hotels we stayed at here. So in Barcelona, we stayed at a place called the Ceres,
The
and the
Ceres.
Ceres Hotel in Barcelona. And this place was great, Paul. This place was great. It was right near, not right on the beach, but close to the beach in Barcelona. It was a smaller boutique hotel, and I've stayed at boutique hotels before, but like when we got there and they dropped us off, A guy met us at the door, took our bags, sat us down, helped us with our check-in, gave us a tour of the hotel, asked us if we needed help with any reservations or going anywhere or doing stuff. Just 100 top-notch experience. We get to the room. They had a bucket of champagne for us there. Our room was awesome, super comfortable bed. Even though this was like right in the heart of a busy part of Barcelona, the room was quiet as fuck. Like
Nice.
you couldn't hear a thing with the blackout curtains drawn. No light came in. Um, everything was great. They had a great rooftop bar with a pool. You could get something to eat there, and like what was really nice about this place is if we went out and kind of walked around, we could come back here and we could hang out on the rooftop bar before we had to go get ready for dinner. And again, super great place, super clean, super nice, not outrageous. It wasn't the most expensive place we stayed on our trip, but for anybody who's going to Barcelona, you absolutely owe it to yourself to look at this place. Because I'm used to going to like hotels for business, right? You stay at a
Yeah.
Marriott, or you stay even the Virgin hotels, which are a little bit nicer. It's just, they're corporate, they're
Yeah.
cold. These small boutique hotels like this are so fucking great. And again, the lobby was immaculate. We had the breakfast included thing. And again, this is one of the big differences between when you have breakfast at a hotels overseas versus here in America. Because like if you buy breakfast at the hotel, it's usually one of two things. It's either like sit down restaurant service, which just has, whatever, or it's like the buffet with the powdered eggs and like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bagel cutter and the toaster and whatever, right? The spread at this place was amazing. The coffee was so good. Was a great hotel that we stayed at. So anyway, we get there, we finally get checked in, we get in our rooms, we get a shower to clean up, and we just start walking around. And where this is located in Barcelona, it's located near Las Ramblas, and it's located near the beach. It's located near a bunch of other stuff. So we just sort of wandered a little bit. We found one thing that was open that was like off kind of the beaten path a little bit. It was like this cathedral. We went in there, we kind of hung out. I was fading pretty fast. I went back, we took a nap, then we went to dinner. Again, Mandy really wanted Spanish cuisine. So the 2 full nights that we were there, we went to hotels where we could get really good seafood. She got her paella. She was super happy. Barcelona is a really cool town. Once you kind of get through that touristy stuff, though, there really wasn't a lot to do. It's definitely a place to visit and just vibe. Now, there's beaches, and it was really, really fucking hot and humid because it's right on the Mediterranean coast there. Um, I think if we go back, I would love to stay at this hotel again or stay at a hotel that has like beach access because the public beaches were crammed.
Okay.
But again, it's definitely a place where you can just go, you can vibe, you can go and you can get good food and just hang out. I would definitely go back. Previously I had no desire to go to Spain, but now it's like, wow, that was a really nice kind of experience. It was a cool town. Um, Mandy spoke fluent Spanish. I was really, really impressed
Wow.
with how well, like, she was having full on conversations. Like, I know French, right? But I can't carry on a full ass conversation. I just can't. I know how to get around. I'm serviceable. She's having like full on conversations with people like our driver and people at the hotel and people at restaurants and all that other stuff. So A plus, everything's good. So then it got time to go to France.
Mm-hmm.
And we took a train all the way from Barcelona to Paris, France.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a high speed train. Now, I'll sort of pause here for a second and say that if you've been listening to the show for the past couple of weeks, you know that I've bought some things like the Power Bagel and the Travel Router and
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
All that stuff worked great.
Great.
Worked great. I attempted to use the Travel Router on the train because all the trains have Wi-Fi, but it's kind of shitty Wi-Fi. It's spotty and it's not very fast. So I did technically use it on the train, from Barcelona to Paris, but
Yeah,
honestly, the Wi-Fi service wasn't great on the train.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I've experienced that on other trains in Europe. Like it's there and it's good for checking your email, but even like trying to listen to Spotify, there was like a lot of buffering in between songs.
Text
Just
only. Text only. Yeah.
yeah, texting, email,
Yeah.
maybe even a little bit of light web browsing is fine. Anything else, like forget it. And like when we were on the train, there was like this gaggle of teenage girls. Let me back up. So the train we took, when we booked it, I booked seats that were facing each other, and we had our own little table. So
Oh.
it was like two seats facing across from each other, and there were no seats to the left and right of us. So it was just the aisle. So we had our own little table. We had our own power adapters. It was great. Across the aisle from us was basically the same thing, except it was four seats, two and two with their own table. And it was like this gaggle of teenage girls that were traveling with their parents. And they're all on their iPads and Macs trying to watch Netflix. And I'm like,
It's not going well.
it's not going
Yeah.
well. It's not going well for them, right? But so the train we took was the TGV on we. Yeah. This is the train that we took. Oops. Let me do that. There you go. So it's a double decker train, and they
Okay.
offer
Okay.
so they offer service. They offer direct service between Barcelona and Paris, which is interesting because um there weren't a lot of international services to like Paris. Now, Spain, ironically, has really good rail service. Like their national carrier, Renfe or whatever, is really, really good. They have a lot of high speed lines through Spain. Now, this train was not a direct train. It stopped like 5 stops between Barcelona and Paris. And the total trip time was about 6 hours. And there was a portion of the trip where it was not on high speed sections, so it was kind of meandering a little bit. But then when it really got to the heart of France, brother, it was moving.
It
Like
opened up.
yeah, like 300 kilometers an hour. It's like 186 miles an hour, and it moves. If you've never really been on a high speed train like that before, it's very strange. It's very good, and it just kind of rocks you to sleep. You know, it's so comfortable. It's such a comfortable way to travel. And the train cars are double deck, right? And you're probably thinking, oh, you want to be up on the top deck and you want to be able to see everything. False. You want to be on the lower deck. Do you
Okay.
know why?
No idea.
Okay. So, in order for you to move between cars, you have to be on the upper deck. So, for example, we were in carriage 15. The bar car, like the cafe car, was car 13. For us to get there, we were on the lower deck. So what you have to do is you have to go up to the upper deck and you have to walk through the other cars to get to the cafe car. So there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people walking around.
Okay. Okay.
And the upper deck cars are not quiet zones, but the lower decks are. So, yes, you're higher up in these double decker trains, but there's way more people walking around and it's louder. On the lower decks, it's much quieter. So we
Hmm.
were like
Okay.
on the lower deck in the back of one of the cars, and you can't switch cars on the lower deck. The bathroom is on the lower deck as well. So it's very, very convenient to be on the lower deck, and you could still see everything. Yes, you can maybe see a little bit more on the upper deck, but on the lower deck of these cars, it's I don't know. It was just way more calm and comfortable down there.
Yeah, I was going to say calm. It sounds calm. Yeah.
It's very calm and it's very quiet. Um, yeah, I mean the only other thing you sort of have to adjust to is when you have those seats, someone's traveling backwards, and that's a little bit weird at first. But you get used to it. And there was a lot of cool stuff to see. Like part of the route took us right along the coast. It was really, really pretty. Um, it's not like train travel in America where like the rails basically just go through industrial zones, right?
Right.
It,
Yeah.
it actually goes places that is like pretty and kind of nice. So that was like a 6.5 hour journey. We got to Paris in the afternoon. And then Mandy got to experience how crazy like taxi drivers are in Paris
Okay.
because traffic laws are just a suggestion.
Okay.
Now, one thing that's very prevalent in European cities are scooters.
Scoots.
Scoots. And the scooters will just basically weave between every car imaginable to get where they need to go. And the streets over there are very narrow. Remember, these cities were designed and built before cars existed.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of the streets and a lot of the boulevards there just don't accommodate heavy traffic as well. And where we stayed in Paris was this place called Hotel Elysia. Oh, yeah. Let me grab the link for this. And this place, again, if you're ever in Paris, great place to stay. It's right off the Champs-Elysees in Paris. It's right near the Arc de Triomphe and all the shopping. It's a very, very trendy part of town. Really, really nice place to stay. It was the biggest room we stayed in the whole trip. We had, I believe it was what they called their executive room. Again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. You could, it was very well apportioned. The only criticism I really have of the hotel is the elevator, because while they renovated and modernized the rest of the building, this is like an elevator that really only holds two people.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, it's one of those old elevators that you see like in the old movies, like where the gate is like an accordion gate,
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's classic. It's classic, but it doesn't hold a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing about this hotel is it had this spa where you could basically just book the entire place to yourself. And they have like a steam room and a jacuzzi and a gym. So one of the days where we got done with dinner, we basically ended our day in there, just sort of unwinding because we had been on our feet all day. And, it was just nice to spend time with each other there. It was quiet. It was calm. I have been in saunas before. I don't know if it's because it was in Celsius, but it was like hard to breathe and how hot hot these rooms got. But yeah, it was a great place to stay. And then this was my third time in Paris. Now, when it comes to things to do, Paris has a lot more to do than Barcelona does. I mean, think about it. You could go to the Eiffel Tower, you could go to the Louvre, you could go to, whatever, the Arc de Triomphe. So for me, though, there's definitely one thing that I recommend above all else in Paris, and that is the catacombs.
The catacombs.
Yeah. So the catacombs of Paris. And it's exactly what it sounds like. So the interesting thing about Paris is that in order for them to build a lot of the buildings of Paris, they needed a shitload of limestone. And in the early days of Paris, they basically mined all around and underneath Paris to extract all the limestone that they needed. So everywhere under the city were these abandoned mine shafts. And as they continued to build bigger and more impressive structures in Paris, it basically started collapsing because there was these huge empty mines underneath it. So what they had to do is they basically had to go in here and they had to like rebuild and like basically build up the places where they had previously dug out for these mines. And then what they were discovering was they were basically coming across all these old cemeteries and everything that as they built the city out and they were building out sewer systems and subways and all this other stuff, they basically were finding all these cemeteries that they needed to like reinter remains from. And they basically transferred them to these abandoned tunnels that used to make up these mines. And then, the French Revolution, and then before that, the plague and wars and everything. Basically, what this is a giant mausoleum full of bones.
Hmm.
It's one of the most metal fucking things you've ever seen. Because if you're on that website right now, it looks like walls of bones. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
skulls and bones and femurs and human remains.
That's wild. Okay.
And you look at it and you're like, oh, well, it just goes from floor to ceiling. Well, first of all, it doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. If you take your little iPhone and you turn on your flashlight and you sort of shine it over the top of that stuff, it goes back.
Got it. Okay.
I think they tell you how many people they think like have their remains buried there. It's a lot. It's a lot. But it's just so fucking surreal walking through these caverns that are just lined with bones and skulls everywhere. Again, these are really, really hard tickets to get. You can only buy them a week in advance. So if you're going to Paris and this is something you want to do, it's kind of like classic Ticketmaster rules. Like if you know you want to visit it at noon on a specific day, you need to make sure that you're online right before noon Paris time because that's when the tickets for that day go on sale for that time.
Yeah.
But to me, it is 100% worth it. It's very cool. It takes about an hour. It's something just extremely unique and just so very cool to do. And especially in the summer, it's very, very cool underground. So it's a good way to kind of get like out of the heat too and experience it. So that was like the number one thing I wanted to take her to see. She loved it. That's like my second time that I've done it. So again, one very, very cool thing to do. The other thing we did when we were there that I wanted to make sure we did was go to the Palace of Versailles. Again, it's just so opulent and it's just so massive. It's got a lot of history in terms of like what it means to France and the different iterations that it's gone through. And you can walk through the chateau. You can see all the different apartments that were in it that house different things, and then all the artwork that's inside it that's really timeless. Again, it's one of those things where you can make an entire day trip out of it because you have to like get there. It's like 45 minutes outside of Paris by train. So like you get up, you go there, you go in, you spend the day, you can walk the gardens that are part of the grounds. You can go to the Trianon Estates. You can go to Marie Antoinette's cottage. Friend of the show, John Krebs, proposed to his wife there. Like, so we actually went and saw like the bridge that he proposed on and everything. So again, a lot of walking, a lot of stuff. It was a little stuffy. It's a little crowded. Not as crowded as the Louvre, which I'm very, very anti-Louvre in Paris. Like that is just not worth your time.
I've always
Yes,
heard that it's very crowded.
the Mona Lisa's there. It is not as nearly as impressive in person. Skip that one. Go to Versailles. Go to the catacombs. And then the only other thing we did was go to the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is right. It's right at one end of the Champs Elysees. If you pay to go in, and you don't have to pay to go in, you can actually go like walk around the base of it. The tomb of they're one of their tombs of the unknown soldiers there, so you can see that. It's pretty impressive to look at. Again, watching the traffic circle there, where there are no lanes, and there's just cars. It's like Thunderdome trying to get through that intersection. It's kind of funny to watch. But if you do pay money, you can go up to the top of it. We got some really good pictures. You can see everything. We didn't go to the Eiffel Tower. The lines are too long. We couldn't go into Notre Dame. There was a service when we were there. But we basically walked all over Paris. We walked the entire length of the Champs-Elysees. We had really, really good meals there. I think I had the best meals when we were in Paris with the places we went to. We actually went to this little Italian restaurant that was run by Sicilians that spoke Italian and French, but barely any English. But we had a great meal there. And then where else did we eat when we were there? I forget. We went somewhere else, but I can't remember what we went to. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I'll have to go through my pictures and figure it out. Paris is just a cool town. I mean, there's lots to do, lots to see, lots of good food to eat, lots of good shopping. Um, Mandy was a little uncomfortable because she didn't know a lot of French, and I can see how that would be. She basically went from feeling extremely comfortable in Spain to
To
feeling
not at
not
all.
comfortable at all. And
Mhm.
again, I can read it. I know what a lot of the words mean. I can't necessarily carry on a fluent conversation with people, but I can order food. I can order tickets. I know how to ask questions. We were fine, and look, a lot of them will speak English. This you're going to hear the same advice for everybody that's ever been there. You just have to try. Open a conversation with bonjour. Say thank you. They'll pick up that you're American and they'll take it from there.
God, yeah.
So then we got to our next train ride, and that was the Eurostar. Now, the Eurostar, Paul, is
Eurostar.
interesting
Okay.
because that is the train that goes under the English Channel.
Oh.
So it's 2 hours from Paris to London, direct. Again, high speed
Mhm.
train, 300 kilometers an hour. It once you get to Calais in France, you go into a tunnel. It goes all the way under the English Channel, and then it shows up in London. I've been on the Eurostar a lot. The tickets are not necessarily cheap, but it is the best way to get between those two cities. Again, it's 2 hours station to station, and
Yeah,
it's
that's pretty
it's
quick.
it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's awesome. Even the cheapest ticket, it's a very comfortable ride. You show up at the train station. Now, because the United Kingdom is no longer part of the European Union, one interesting thing about traveling on trains is there's not a lot of security. Like you can literally walk into a train station and walk onto a platform and just chill and watch trains all day, which, hey, that's my kind of autism. I will do that. Like I will sit and watch trains come and go all day. For the Eurostar, though, it's kind of like going through airport security. There's, you got to get your bags checked, and scanned. You have to show your passport. There's also this thing going on right now called the ETA. It is a electronic travel authorization. And it is something where you have to basically download an app on your phone, take a picture of yourself, fill out some information, and that has to be submitted before your trip. And you pay like a really small fee that goes along with it to go to the UK. So, we showed up with plenty of time. We got on it, no problems. It ran on time. Again, super fast to get there. And then we checked into our hotel at London, and our final place we stayed was called the Rosewood. Now, have you been to London?
No, no.
So, when you think of London, what do you think about?
Oh, what? Oh boy, I don't know.
Like
Uh,
landmarks. Like what do you think about?
oh, well, oh, geez, you're putting me on the spot here. I'm not sure when I even know what's in London versus what's in other British cities.
I'm sure you can
I
think
don't
of at
know.
least one thing.
I can.
Yeah. Like Big Ben, right?
Okay, I was gonna say Big Ben, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want Big Ben to be like, oh well, you see, Paul, it's actually not in London,
Well,
and be that
actually,
guy.
Paul, you see, it's not called Big Ben. Big Ben's the bell. The tower's the Elizabeth Tower. But I
Okay,
digress. Right.
okay.
But anyway,
Mm.
so actually, when you go to London, it's actually two cities in one. So there's the actual city of London, which is older, but all the sightseeing shit mostly is in the city of Westminster.
Okay.
So that's where Parliament is. That's where the London Eye is. That's where Westminster Abbey is, and that's Buckingham Palace and Trafalgar Square and all that stuff. And London again, very very walkable city. You can walk a couple miles and see all that stuff kind of concentrated there. Now the Tower of London and Tower Bridge, that's in the city of London, which is on the east side of town. Um, there's a really interesting thing about London where you're like, if you're not sure where the city of Westminster ends and the city of London begins, all the roads have these dragon statues that basically delineate where the city of London begins or ends versus city of Westminster. It's really kind of cool. And it's one of those things that if I had never gone on one of those like bus tours there, I would never know. But it's really interesting. So we stayed at the Rosewood. When we got there, our room wasn't ready, but we basically dropped our bags and we just went and walked around a little bit. I took her down to, we walked down the Mall, which is like the stretch of road between Buckingham Palace and, oh crap, I forget where the other end of it is right now. We just walked around a little bit and then, we got back and we went and had Indian food in London, which is really, really good. And then we did some touristy stuff the next day. So again, the big things we wanted to do when I was there is I really wanted to take her to the Tower of London. Great place to go. Just a lot of history there. It'd been used for so many different things. So we did that. And then we basically got on like a riverboat type thing from there. And we rode that all the way back to Westminster. And we went to Westminster Abbey because, again, Westminster Abbey is just fucking cool. Again, that's where they do like the royal coronations. And then there's really famous people like Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin are buried in the floor. So it's like there's all kinds of really cool stuff to see there. And then there's like kings and queens that are buried there. And it's just a really cool place to kind of walk through. Trying to think, what else did we do? Trafalgar Square was sort of under construction, so we didn't get to see that too much. We got to walk past Buckingham Palace. Again, London's a really cool town. There's a ton of shit to do. And you can go to Shakespeare's Globe Theater. You can go to the Sherlock Holmes thing. You can go take the obligatory tourist picture at Abbey Road. Like, you can do all that shit, right? The National Gallery's there. It's free. You can go in and look at artwork. We ate some good stuff. The Indian food was really good. We went to a proper steakhouse our last night there and had a really, really nice meal together. And then it was time to come home.
Uh-oh, here we go.
So up until this point, our trip had been flawless, right? Everything was on time. All the tickets we bought didn't go to waste, and everything was really, really good. And then it was time to come home. So our flight was out of London Heathrow. Now, the night before we were due to check out, we got an email from Delta saying, hey, heads up, there's going to be some potential for some severe weather. Your flights might be impacted. Make sure you check your status of your flight up until it's time for you to board. And, we'll do everything we can to make sure that you get to your final destination. And I'm like, cool. So we looked at the app, everything set on time. So we set our alarm for the morning. We got up, we got on the tube. We took that over to Paddington Station. We got on the Heathrow Express. We show up to the airport. Flight still shows on time. We go to the airport lounge. We have breakfast. Flight still shows on time. They call us for boarding. We walk to the gate. We get on the plane. We take off. Everything's fine. I'm like, great.
Okay.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Again, I was a problem.
Again.
So as we were boarding,
mm-hmm.
Again, one of the nice things about flying at the front of the plane is you get you get a bathroom for like 14 people as opposed to like 300 people, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that bathroom is right by the cockpit. So I go to the bathroom, and right before I come out of the bathroom, right? Like, I open the door and I kind of peek my head into the cockpit, and there's 3 crew members in there. And on these longer transatlantic flights, they actually have pilots that relieve the pilots so they get a break.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So they were sort of setting up in there, and I sort of put my head in, and I'm like, how's it going to be, guys? Is it going to be smooth? And they all kind of turn around and look at me, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be pretty smooth. There's an opportunity for some turbulence near like Newfoundland and all this other stuff. And the one guy was like, are you nervous, flyer? And I'm like, yeah, I don't necessarily like turbulence. And he goes, hey, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It'll rock you to sleep. And I'm like, sure it will.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So I go back to my seat. And I'm getting settled in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
A couple minutes later, the captain comes back to my seat, and he's got his iPad with him. And he's like, hey, I want to show you something. And he
Okay.
walked me through. No joke. He
Yeah.
walked me through on his iPad like their
Uh-huh.
weather app that they use that shows like turbulence areas, and he walked me through the entire flight plan.
Huh.
I was like, this is fucking cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
And he's like, here's what this symbol means, and like here's these areas that are highlighted where it could be a little bit bumpy. And he's like, service will be done by this. He's like, we're probably going to have some here, and he's like showing me. Basically, the iPad was split into two sections where like there's like an overhead map of the world that shows like the route the plane's going to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the bottom is like a how do I describe it? It almost looks like a bar graph with like the cloud layers and potential thunderstorms or showers that we're going to be flying around or through. And he's like showing me about how like, oh, it's showing that there could be turbulence between 22,000 and 33,000, but we're actually going to be at 38,000. So we're not going to feel any of it. I'm like, cool. And he's like, hey, if you have any other questions, the other pilot that's going to be getting rest is like 2 seats behind you. Chat him up. And I'm like, he looks tired. I'm not going to bug
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. That seems unwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, this guy was really cool because like he was telling me about how like he's getting ready to retire soon. And like he's actually flying the plane with his son. It was a really, really cool
Oh.
story, actually. Yeah. And again, shout out to that crew because they were just so like, taking the time to explain that, I'm sure I'm not the only, well, maybe I am. Maybe I am the only one that asks like dumb questions like that. But just getting that little briefing made me feel better,
Yeah.
like he obviously gave a shit, because I'm sure he doesn't want someone being a basket case on his airplane, but like,
True. Yeah.
but still, like taking the time to sort of explain all that stuff to me was really, really reassuring, and I just appreciated that. And I left like really, like I'm not a guy who rates his airplane flight, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna say that they did a good job because they clearly did. Like they they definitely took the time to explain it to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then when he had his break, he came over and checked on me, and it was shortly after we had a little bit of turbulence. Like, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm surviving. I'm like, I just want to know that it's going to be smooth for the rest. And he goes, yeah, it's going to be good until we get closer to JFK. It might get a little bit bumpy on descent. And I'm like, that's fine. If I know the plane's getting ready to land, I'm actually strangely okay with turbulence.
Okay.
It's just the stuff in the middle of the flight that I don't like. So then we get to JFK. Now, I was on the plane's Wi-Fi for the entire flight. It was like a 7-hour flight back home to JFK.
Mm-hmm.
That's in New York, in case you're wondering. Very, very congested air traffic control area, especially if you've been watching the news recently. So like an hour before we're scheduled to land, my phone lights up with a notification, and it's the Delta app. And it's like, hey, your flight to Columbus has been canceled.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's weather, maybe it's something, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we land at JFK, and like we're taxiing. There's a lot of cloud in the fucking sky, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh no. Yeah.
So I call. So I also got a text message with like click here to
Mm-hmm.
call our customer support center, and we'll to figure out what you want to do. Now, again, Delta's really, I like Delta. They do a great job of this. Usually when there's a travel interruption, they will automatically rebook you on another flight. But what it clearly said in this message was, we can't rebook you. So I called them and they're like, yeah, there's your flight's been canceled due to weather. And again, I'm like, what weather? Because I looked at the weather for Columbus and it looked like there was some light rain that happened on Tuesday, but it didn't seem like it was storms or anything. So something wasn't adding up to me. But then they're like, yeah, there's a flight at 8:00 tonight that we can put you on standby for, or I can rebook you onto a flight for Columbus on Wednesday at 3:00 in the afternoon. It's Tuesday, Paul.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, 1:00. That's over 24 hours
24
away.
hours away. Yeah.
And I'm out of clean underwear. So
Okay.
that's not really an option for me. I was like, well, what about Cincinnati or Cleveland or something like that? Where like, can you get me close? And maybe I can rent a car and just drive the 2 hours from Cleveland or Cincinnati or even Detroit. And they're like, yeah, those flights to those cities were also canceled this afternoon due to weather. There are flights later. I can put you on standby. And I'm like, okay, fine. Listen, lady, just put me on standby for the Columbus flight at 8:00.
Mm-hmm.
So I hang up And, a couple minutes later, I get a notification on my app. Hey, you've been added to standby for this flight. Show up to the gate, to see if you get a space or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. So like we're taxiing to the gate while this is happening, right? And I stand up and I walk over to Mandy and I'm like, hey, here's the situation. We basically had two options. It was either hang around this airport for 7 hours and maybe get on a flight, maybe not, or maybe worse, one of us gets on a flight.
Yeah.
Or we wait till tomorrow, or we go to the rental car center and see if we can get a car and we just drive it. So I pulled it up on my phone. It said 10 hours to drive it. So the way I looked at it is this. Okay, I can hang out for 7 hours, maybe get on a plane and fly 2 more hours. Or if we get a car, we leave now and we get home an hour after we would have gotten home on this later flight. And Mandy's like, let's go for it. So we got our luggage, because when you come back to the United States, you have to get your luggage and recheck it back to your final destination.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. So we had our suitcases. It wasn't like our suitcases were like somewhere else in the airport. So we went to the rental car center and we basically split up. She went to one side, I went to the other. The first couple places we asked, they had no one-way rentals, but we went to Avis. They had a one-way rental. And I'm like, I could not throw down my credit card fast enough. I'm like, just whatever. Give me unlimited miles. I only need it for a day. So and remember now, I've been up kind of all day, didn't sleep on the plane, and now I have to drive 10 hours.
Right.
So the way we did it was I drove out of New York and New Jersey, which we had a lot of traffic. It was really, really slow going. And then as we were kind of in New Jersey, that's when the thunderstorms started. Like there was a lot of storms that we kind of flew over us. So that must have been the weather that was like disrupting everything. So then we stopped for dinner. And I told Manny, I was like, hey, can you drive for a few hours so I could take a little nap? Because what was happening, Paul, was the weirdest thing. We were getting food at a Chipotle in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I was just sitting there and it felt like I was wobbling.
Okay.
I was like, babe, you need to drive for a little while so I can sleep. So she drove pretty much the entire length of Pennsylvania. And then we stopped actually near where I grew up, ironically, got gas, got more caffeine. And then I drove the final 3 hours back to Columbus. Brother, that was a dicey 3 hours. I was so fucking tired. Like, I was so tired.
How tired were you?
That cars' headlights hurt my eyes.
Oh no.
Have you ever been that tired driving?
Yeah, I have. It's not good. It's not safe. It's not safe.
So we got to Port Columbus like at 2 a.m, dropped the car off after hours, then got our car, like took our luggage up to parking, paid for parking, came home. It was like 3:00 by that time. I was like, I have to take a shower. Then it was like 3:30, and then all of a sudden I wasn't tired, because at that point I'd been up for 24 hours if you consider the time zone differences. So I unpacked my suitcase, and then it was like 5:00, and I was like, I guess I'll fuck around on TikTok for an hour. and then I went to work.
Oh, oof.
Yeah. So that was like Tuesday bleeding into Wednesday, and then by like 3:00 I was pretty much done. So I just decided to skip going to the gym. I laid down and I slept for a while. I'm still a little out of it. My body is still not fully recovered from it yet, but that was like it was a huge inconvenience. It cost me an extra $300 or $400 for the rental car.
Right.
but we were ready to be home. And look, my attitude is, of all the different places where our travel plans could have broke down, that was the least destructive. It didn't threaten any of the other stuff that we had to do and had planned for our trip. So the silver lining is that of all the places we could get tripped up, that was the place to get tripped up.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't impact your vacation
Right.
proper. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had meetings that I had to take on Wednesday. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was basically off from Monday to Tuesday. So, it's like 8 days.
Yeah.
So I really needed to get back. And I was proud of myself. I did not do anything work related the entire trip except on the way home. I did pull out my work phone, which I did have with me because I took the gimbal and I walked through like the catacombs and some of the other places with my work phone on the gimbal. So I did have it with me, but it was in airplane mode the entire time. I never joined it to Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But on the way home, I did start to get a jump on like my work email and Slack messages and stuff. But that was the first vacation that I was able to do that on in a long time. So I was really, really thankful for that. But yeah, good trip. Good trip. Made a lot of memories. Mandy loved it. And look, I enjoy travel. My flight anxiety aside, I love traveling overseas. I think everybody should do it. In terms of budget, like, you don't have to spend a fortune to do it. If you do it smartly, it doesn't have to be extravagant. You don't have to spend a ton of money to do it. Yes, it is going to cost you something, but it doesn't have to cost you everything.
Right.
For people who are going for the first time, the allure of like an Airbnb sounds good. I would advise against that. I've done Airbnb in Europe pre-COVID. Post-COVID's different. I think that there's way more scams and way more opportunities for you to get fucked over in those things. Plus,
Yeah.
here's the other thing. If you go in the summer, a lot of private residences don't have air conditioning.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And after walking around all day, when you're sweaty, you know what you want.
Air conditioning.
You want some fucking air conditioning, bud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, we can save this for next week, but my air conditioner broke while you were
Oh
overseas.
no. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
a teaser for next week then. So all in all, good trip. If anybody else wants to know more about it, just drop me a message or something. But to sort of bring this back to what we talk about here, the tech stuff was fine. I did take my laptop. I only used it for one thing. I probably could have foregone that, honestly. I probably could have got away with my phone if I really needed to. The travel router, again, I loved having that because it simplified our hotel situation for when we were back in the room and buying, checking stuff and talking to people back home and being able to pull up my Plex server to watch something if I was, just trying to relax at night or, not being subject to weird region stuff was worth it. The power bagel was awesome. The little battery I had made sure that everything was charged. I mean, the tech stuff was good, and I'm glad I invested in that stuff. But the trip was worth it, and I'm glad we were able to finally do it. That was the most important thing to me, and I have a lot of fun showing people things that I know that they're gonna like. I don't know how else to explain that. So me being able to share these places that I've been and I'm excited about and have them be excited about it is kind of fun for me. And then of course seeing a new place like Barcelona was fun too. So good trip. I'm glad to be back though.
Good.
So that's enough Drew for tonight.
Okay. Well, I think we did it. We did a show. We made a show.
Yep. And then since you dropped a teaser for next week, I also have big news for next week that we can talk about next week as well.
Oh, and just a reminder, if you didn't know, the first 6 episodes of season 2 of The Sandman dropped today. So
all 6?
Well, there's 2 parts. There's going to be 11 episodes total. So the first 6
Oh.
episodes drop. I have watched 1 episode. Uh,
And
it sets up exactly what you want it to set up.
oh, thank God. Okay, I can't wait. Can't
Mm-hmm.
fucking wait.
Mm-hmm.
Let's add that. I'm gonna watch that before next week. That's gonna be a topic next week too. So get ready with spoilers.
Okay. All right. All right. Hey, you know what to do? Doingthebest.com. You can find all the links that Drew mentioned on that site. And hey, thanks for listening.